All right, we're really opinionated this week. So opinion number 3. So Hugh Freeze was quoted after playing Georgia saying, "I'll miss playing Georgia every year." A little bit of a slip there, perhaps. He's since walked back on those comments, saying that he was just talking about all the changes that are going to be happening with new teams coming into the SEC. So, trying to maybe save face a little bit there. What do we think about losing potential rivals? What do y'all think? Because it's a big thing. Anybody?
It is. I have a feeling, and I don't know this for sure because I don't know how they're going to work through all this, but there's some of those just like marquee rivalries that I just don't think you lose. I mean, I really don't. I like for Alabama and Georgia, we don't play each other every year, and we don't
Right.
have to unless we go
Must be
to
nice.
to the conference championship. But we do play Auburn, we do play Tennessee, and that's just what's going to happen. Georgia finds a way to play Georgia Tech every year, despite the fact that it's not really a rivalry much anymore. I think that they're going to have to figure out a way, scheduling wise, to make sure that these rivalries get played. Otherwise, they are going to have a revolt.
Yeah.
SEC fans are not patient people. They are not necessarily gracious. Revolt.
Right. Well, especially when you're talking about over 100 years of history in some of these cases, Deep South's oldest rivalry. I can't imagine not playing Auburn every year, even though at this point it's cross division. Next year will be different, obviously. And like for you two, I can't imagine Tennessee not playing Bama. Right. This
Third
just
Saturday in October.
become a fixture, and like what what do you do?
Cigar sales will plummet. Think of the cigar industry.
Right, Matt? What do you think?
I This is a newer brand of SEC football we're getting ready to get into. You've got a lot of different competing interests in what's going on here. I don't see anybody that's going to okay the concept of killing off historical rivalries. Now, for example, let's use Alabama, Tennessee. That is a rivalry that there's no chance in hell that they're ever going to find a way to not put on TV. That's not going to happen. That will be on the schedule every single year. Georgia, Florida will be on the schedule every single year. Then you get into that second tier of rivalry games, and I don't know if those necessarily make it, like Auburn, Georgia. That is a rivalry game, but is it on the same level as Georgia, Florida, or Tennessee and Bama? Not necessarily. I wouldn't say so.
I mean, it's the oldest,
It,
going
it
back to
is,
1894, I think, or something like that.
and I hear you, but I just don't see that's not going to get eyes on TV on a TV channel. It will in the South, but outside of that, I don't know if it's really going to move the needle with most people in the other parts of the country. So I think you're going to look at those secondary rivalry games, kind of like Battle for the Boot, like LSU and Arkansas. Okay, yeah. I think the Egg Bowl is also another one that kind of fits in that secondary rivalry spot that may not necessarily make it if the way the new conference alignment's going to look. I don't know. I think you're going to keep the big marquee ones. I don't think they
This
go
is
anywhere.
always going to play Oklahoma. When
Yeah,
they
but
get in the SEC,
yeah,
that's going to be played.
right. But I can tell you right now, like Tennessee, Vanderbilt every year, I don't see that making it. That's not much of a rivalry to begin with.
I think
Um,
Vanderbilt's okay with that.
Yeah, and I don't think well, we have our own issues with Vanderbilt by itself, but you're gonna have to find a way to get all those games in. And I can tell you how to do it right now. I've already said what we need to do here. You get one tune-up game against an FCS lower division team at the beginning of the year. Every other game from there on out is game conference.
So
Boom, done.
like a 2020 almost, only
Yeah.
in conference.
That was a great year for the SEC. The football games we got in 2020 were fantastic. All those 6 people were at the games, but they
Right.
were still really good games. I don't know. I never have understood why we do this whole let me play 3 guys in my conference and then I'm going to pop in a UT Martin. Why am I playing 2 more games and then playing like Southeast Dakota State? Like, why? What are
Right.
we playing those? I know that there's a secondary whole little economic system within college football where those teams need that money. And I get that, but I just keep it in conference. Why are we bothering with the market with matchups outside of that?
with an expanded playoff, that may help with that too, because I think they worry a lot too that their record will be affected. But with an expanded playoff, you
Yeah.
should be able to kind of combat that. But I agree. I think you have to kind of cut out some of those out of conference games, and it's not just the SEC that's going to be facing this, right? Like it's the Big Ten. Every other conference is gaining more teams, and they are going to have to figure this out. I mean, they've already busted up some of those in-conference rivalries that existed within the two, the back two, but they're gonna have to figure it out.
Also, you do
Go
add
ahead.
an interesting dynamic by adding these teams and doing away with divisions. And that somebody brought this up the other day, and that's the fact that it is possible for Bama and Auburn to play each other for the SEC championship because it's the top two teams against each other. So how wild would that be? Since there's no more divisions.
I don't.
But it is possible. So it's just an interesting dynamic that is that happens when you do away with divisions like that. So,
and you're going to throw another monkey wrench into the plan when you add Clemson in a couple of years.
Stop it! No,
they're coming. They're already coming in. They're going to bring in Clemson. They're probably going to bring in Florida State. We'll just be at 18 teams, and it'll be fine.
The ACC already has like 1 million teams in it anyway.
The USA Conference.
Yeah.
It's just all the teams, everybody together.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, everybody.
If you want someone to blame for this, call Greg Sankey. It's his fault. The whole thing's his fault. I blame him for it.
Man, can you imagine the teams on the East Coast that have to play Hawaii? Gosh. Of course, I guess Vandy did it. Anyway.
Yeah, that didn't end well, but anyway.
Yeah.